I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future. But all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
I don't know if enough has been made of the fact that, I mean, it was absolutely devastating. But the fact that he had awareness immediately to go like he looked at the crowd like, oh, shit. Like, wow.
He goes,
it wasn't like,
cracked.
yeah.
I think he went into that fight knowing that was probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the big win for him would be that he was even willing to do it and that he could do well for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then eventually just deal with the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to connect with a bomb.
Yeah.
And breaks his jaw in 2 places.
Yeah.
Jake has spirit. He has some heart. He tried his best. And I take my hat off to him because, number one, a lot of fighters haven't got in the ring with me and Jake did. And secondly, even when he got knocked down, he kept on trying to get up.
Anthony Joshua exposes Jake Paul for trying to script the fight. In a moment that sent shockwaves through the combat sports world and instantly ignited debate across boxing gyms, podcasts, and social media timelines, Anthony Joshua reportedly peeled back the curtain on what he claims was a disturbing attempt by Jake Paul and his team to script elements of a potential fight, turning what should be a legitimate sporting contest into what Joshua implied was closer to a manufactured spectacle, and according to sources close to the situation, Joshua's.
It would take a lot of my time and a lot of my patience to train these guys. Now, they don't know a right hook from a meat hook. They don't know a jab, from a proper boxing jab to a jab in the arm with an injection. They haven't learnt the basic fundamentals. Nobody's taught them to keep their hands up and their chin down. Nobody's taught them how to jab properly. Like I say, these guys were just swinging shots on a wing and a prayer. And it was quite painful to watch. I don't know who coaches these guys. I don't know. Maybe they're MMA, maybe they're kickboxers, maybe they're professionals in their chosen field, but they're not being trained by boxing coaches. That's clear. What I would do, you'd have to strip them down and start from square one. And I mean, I've got a lot of guys in my gym, and a lot of these guys probably would do better if they entered this Misfits competition. I'd have guys from my gym calling themselves world champion, because at the end of the 6 rounds, Timur was crowned and still heavyweight world Misfits champion. Well, if that's the level of opposition, I might even head a few of my guys into that, see if they can't nick a few quid. They're not going to get hurt. It's what surprises me about all of these crossover organisations that want to, you've got footballers that want to be boxers, you've got MMA that want to be boxers, you've got boxers that want to be boxers, you've got table tennis, you've got cricketers, you've got name any sport you want, rugby.
Frustration had been building for weeks as discussions progressed behind closed doors, with the former 2-time heavyweight champion allegedly growing increasingly uncomfortable with the tone of negotiations, the subtle language being used, and the repeated emphasis on moments, viral outcomes, and fan-friendly narratives, rather than pure competition, leading Joshua to finally speak out and draw a hard line between real boxing and entertainment-driven exhibitions. And while Joshua stopped,
Paul, Anthony Joshua circumstance. I mean, a lot of people talking about the discredit it does to boxing. I don't put it in the category of boxing. I put it in the category of entertainment, and Anthony Joshua being introduced to America as a media star. What's your overall view of what it does or doesn't do for boxing? Jake Paul being licensed in a fight that many people think that he shouldn't have been licensed to fight, in a commission that often does that. As a promoter, do you think it's a bad look for boxing, or are you thinking it doesn't really matter? It's not really what boxing's about.
I usually and have said in the past that things can be things, you've got to take it for what they are. But in this occasion, I do think it is a freak show, if I'm honest. I also think it's dangerous. I'm sat here as a boxing promoter and I see what goes on with the medicals before and after fights and how dangerous the sport is. And I saw Callum Simpson, the fight should have been stopped way before it was, but was in trouble on Saturday night. It's all a bit of fun and it's all a money grab until someone gets seriously hurt, seriously damaged. And then the whole sport comes into disrepute. For me, it makes a mockery of the sport of boxing. For me, no one in the industry wants to talk badly about it because everyone's lined, the pockets are getting lined. And when you look at that, and kids will look at that, and fans will look at that, and sponsors will look at that and think that that is boxing. As I say, we're one punch away from something serious, and yeah, it's
Ben, on the flip side of that argument, mate, you will tell me that you knew that Chris Eubank wasn't right to go into that fight.
No, but let's be completely honest, right? Whatever you want to say about that fight, these are two experienced professional fighters. Chris Eubank Jr. has been in fights previously.
Short of accusing Paul outright of fixing a fight, his words were sharp enough to suggest that the YouTuber-turned-boxer's camp was far more concerned with optics, drama, and control than with stepping into a truly unpredictable heavyweight battle where anything could happen, and Joshua, known for his disciplined, old-school approach to the sport, reportedly felt insulted by the implication that a fight involving his name could be anything other than a genuine test of skill, power, and heart.
Show Jake Paul embarrassed himself, embarrassed the sport, and embarrassed everyone that calls himself a fighter. And I've been telling you this for years. The thing about boxers is we train to be tired. We train to be hurt. We train to roll with punches. We train for a lot of things that this YouTube Disney star has been nobody. Never learned the trait. He never learned how to fight. He learned how to throw some punches. He learned how to box. And I told you it's because Jake Paul had the resources. He can have a head start in this career like you did in life, and you can make it out. But the thing is, when a fighter really wants to hurt another non-fighter, he can do it, and he can do it a lot easier and a lot faster. Anthony Joshua played with his food, and I'm going to tell you right now, he played with his food. I don't think he should have went to the 6th round, maybe the 4th at latest, because Jake Paul was running. He wasn't boxing. He was running, and every time he had a chance to try to tackle Anthony Joshua in fear, he was on his knees. It looked like he was praying. Jake Paul spent more times on his knees than you did in college praying for a girlfriend. It was embarrassing, Chris Mannix. It was embarrassing. And all the people that tuned in to Netflix and everyone else, just like the Mike Tyson fiasco that happened a couple years ago, we feel disgusted for having to watch that.
I'm not going to defend the fight. It was a bad fight. It was actually worse.
You're not going to put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated again?
No, because we put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated for very different reasons than boxing. It was a power issue.
Especially given the blood, losses, comebacks, and years of elite-level experience he has accumulated at the highest tier of boxing, and insiders claim Joshua was particularly irritated by discussions around pacing, round-by-round, flow, and the idea that certain exchanges should be competitive early to build tension for casual viewers, which he allegedly interpreted as an attempt to engineer drama rather than let the fight unfold naturally, and when Joshua finally addressed the situation.
Out there before getting in the ring with him. And I think a lot of things were revealed inside the ring. You know, all the grabbing of the leg and stuff like that. That shouldn't have been. You know, that almost looked like it reminded me of Troy. You guys remember Troy when Orlando Bloom's character grabbed his brother's leg, you know? You know what I mean? It looked like he was desperately scared, you know? But I think he should have been desperately scared because AJ was coming to hurt him. This wasn't a Mike Tyson fight. He wasn't 58 years old. This dude is 36. And Anthony Joshua, like he said, because I've heard AJ say stuff like that. Hey, I'm going to F you up. He said the same thing to Helenius. Because he thought Helenius was looking at him crazy. And it's like, what do you know, why are you looking at me like that? Right? And Helenius like, oh, you know. And what happened to Helenius? He got knocked out, and needless to say, he tested positive for something. But yeah, so if you hear AJ say, hey, I'm going to F you up. Oh yeah. That's what he means. And I think Jake Paul knew it. And I mean, he avoided a lot of big shots at the beginning of that fight, you know. But then as AJ started getting closer and those punches started getting, you know, more in range of hitting him, the grabbing happened a lot, you know, more, you know. He started.
Publicly, his words carried the weight of a man defending not just his own reputation, but the integrity of the sport itself, making it clear that boxing is not a movie set, not a content house, and not a playground for viral clips, but a brutal, unforgiving arena where mistakes carry real consequences. And Joshua's stance immediately resonated with purists who have long criticized crossover boxing for blurring the lines between sport and spectacle, while at the same time sending Jake Paul's.
You're supposed to it's not supposed to look competitive, he's not supposed to hit you, he's not supposed to go more than 3 rounds, but at the same time, you need to know how to control the pressure. I think AJ's demeanor in the build-up was someone who was like, you know what, everyone's saying these things, but this is how I see it. Yeah, I rate him, he can box a bit. He did say in an interview with Steve Bunce that like when he was talking certain things, there's a part of me that wants to punch him in his face, but I'm just gonna chill. And I feel like that's how he handled the immense pressure.
The last time we saw AJ fuming like this, like when he actually tried to do something, was with Dylan. So we should not judge him when he says something like this, because when he don't say nothing, we say, oh, why is he not saying anything back? Yeah. And when he says something,
fan base into damage control mode as they rush to defend his legitimacy and argue that promotion and storytelling have always been part of boxing. But Joshua's supporters countered that there is a vast difference between selling a fight and trying to choreograph its emotional beats, and the controversy only intensified when clips resurfaced of Paul previously talking about understanding the business of fights, giving fans what they want, and creating moments, which critics now point to.
Boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing, and I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting.
As evidence that Joshua's concerns were not unfounded, and according to those familiar with Joshua's camp, the final straw came when Joshua allegedly made it clear that he would only agree to the fight under traditional boxing terms with no unusual clauses, no narrative-driven expectations, and complete respect for the unpredictability of heavyweight boxing. A stance that reportedly caused tension and stalled negotiations almost immediately, and Joshua's message was simple but powerful: if Jake
was running and Jake was hold, but listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never ever going to win the fight, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit, and he'd be moving off the back foot, and he'd be holding. But it was the way that he did it, I think, was actually quite impressive. Like, not that particular part, but the way that he would... the way that he was strong in the clinch, he wouldn't let AJ get his shots off in the clinch. He made him miss a few times. And obviously AJ's been out of the ring for a while. But to be honest, I think the most fascinating thing of the whole night in terms of the fight was how he didn't get flatlined by that right hand. I mean, I said going into the fight, it's probably going to take AJ a few rounds to get hold of him. And I also said, as soon as he lands clean, the fight's over, right? He landed a few before, but the first that he landed really clean was the final shot. But, he never flatlined Jake. I mean, he did break his jaw in 2 places, which is a disaster. But there are a lot of heavyweights that would have been out cold from that right hand. I mean, one of them was Francis Ngannou in a pretty similar shot, really. Do you know what I mean? So I actually give Jake unbelievable credit for doing it in the first place, but his performance as well. I mean, I stand by the fact that I think he's just a decent cruiserweight, but he did go in with Anthony Joshua, and look, the world is full of criticism and opinions and negativity. Who else is doing what he's doing at what is he, late 20s? I mean, quite phenomenal. I mean, the guy's a complete madman. I'm watching him come out to that ring walk.
Paul truly wants respect as a boxer. He must be willing to step into the ring without safety nets, without scripts, and without any illusion of control, because once the bell rings, the fight belongs to the fighters, not the promoters, not the algorithms, and not the highlight reels, and this moment has now become a defining talking point in the ongoing debate about celebrity boxing, with many fighters quietly applauding Joshua for saying what they have long thought but hesitated to voice.
It's just the name of the game, when you're operating at the high level that my brother and I are, the haters come with it. I mean, statistically speaking, part-timer, I think the narrative's dead. I've been showing up every single Monday for the past month and a half. I've wrestled in 4 out of the 5 times I was there. I won every single match. So like everyone who's yapping can now shut their trap because the narrative's dead.
I mean, you brought the receipts. I think that the proof stands for itself. And you mentioned your brother. Jake went 6 rounds on Friday night with Anthony Joshua. I know how proud you are of him. You were in the hospital with him afterwards. You called him an absolute warrior and said on your Instagram that his broken jaw won't break his spirit. How did you think, and what did you think of how the fight went down?
So, from strictly a logical point of view, I actually think it went down exactly as it was supposed to. I'm not sure anyone really thought that Jake was going to beat Anthony Joshua, but you have to understand, being his brother and in his close circle, he has this conviction that makes you believe, and he has this ability to defy reality and morph it into his vision of how it'll transpire that makes you think he'll win. However, like this was my opinion, this was a logical conclusion to the fight. The 2-time Olympian broke the influencer boxer's jaw. Like, okay, you know, we could have wrote it in a story and it would have made sense. That said, I think he did amazing. I'm incredibly proud of him. I think it was a net positive. I think the world can see now how tough.
Publicly, fearing backlash or missed paydays, and while Jake Paul has responded by dismissing the claims and insisting that he wants the toughest challenges possible, Joshua's comments have planted a seed of doubt that refuses to go away, raising uncomfortable questions about where the line should be drawn between entertainment and sport, especially when massive money, global streaming platforms, and millions of casual viewers are involved. And for Joshua, this was never just about Jake Paul.
You can't be serious about that, can you?
I'm very serious about it.
I'll give him credit for that because there's a lot of the bravery
for running away when he got tired.
No, the bravery.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Sorry. From round 1, running away, jumping up and down, falling down on the floor. Yeah.
$1 million.
He did not, but go ahead.
For a clown show. For a freaking clown show. Jake Paul embarrassed himself, embarrassed the sport, and embarrassed everyone that calls himself.
But about protecting a legacy built on real fights against real heavyweights, about honoring the fighters who came before him, and about ensuring that boxing does not lose its soul in the pursuit of clicks and controversy, and as fans continue to argue online, dissect interviews, and speculate about what really happened behind closed doors, one thing is certain: Anthony Joshua's refusal to play along has once again reminded the world that boxing, at its core, is chaos, danger, and truth, and any attempt to script that truth will always be exposed the moment a real fighter decides to speak up.